Ford is slamming the brakes on its EVs plans. EV sales are plunging as demand dries up. Now Ford is shifting production back to profitable gas-powered vehicles. But will this be enough to save the struggling automaker from collapse? Ford has already lost more than $4 billion in EVs last year, showcasing EVs at a soaring loss of $36,000 for each vehicle and, wait for it, the January EV sales are the lowest of the decade. In January, Ford sold 4,674 all-electric vehicles, 11% less than a year ago and the lowest level since April 2023. That's also just 3.2% of the brand's total volume. To understand this, let me give you an analysis of the most famous Ford brand cars. First up is the Ford F-150 Lightning. Ford's electric pickup truck saw sales dip slightly in January, with 2,258 trucks sold. That's down by a marginal 0.3% compared to January last year. Not a huge drop, but it shows that demand for the Lightning may be plateauing a bit after rapid growth in 2022 and early 2023. Next is the Mustang Mach-E, and here's where there's real cause for concern. Sales collapsed in January to just 1,295 units. That's a massive 51% decrease versus January last year. It was the second worst month for Mach-E sales since the vehicle launched. At the same time, inventory continues to pile up, with nearly 21,400 Mach-Es sitting on dealer lots at the end of January, equivalent to over 4 months' worth of sales at the current rate. Remember the time Joe Biden invested more than $9 billion in Ford's EV division, requiring Ford to produce more EVs? Then Jim Farley just straight up canceled the EV plans to keep his company from shutting down. For more than 3 years, Ford has been hyping its electric vehicles in a frenzied manner, whether it's the F-150 Lightning pickup or the Mustang Mach-E. Ford's EV sales have been bleeding cash by the hour. The public has resisted the urge to pay the high price for EVs regardless of the government's demand. This has led to Ford now returning to gas-powered cars. Why? Since gas cars are earning real money, you'd be shocked to know the exact amount. However, we'll get to this in a moment. Ford has been quietly cutting production at the Michigan Rogue EV Center without anyone being aware. Instead, Ford has added nearly 900 new jobs to increase the production of their gasoline-powered Broncos as well as Rangers. Here are the figures. Ford only managed to sell around 4,600 electric vehicles in January. The so-called flagship Mustang Mach-E only sold around 1,200 units in January, which is a staggering 51% decrease from what they sold last year. Dealer showrooms are brimming with F-150 Lightning pickups, but even with price reductions that go up to $115,000, people aren't quite ready to buy them. But what is it that on earth is this taking place? The Mach-E starts at $42,988, isn't it? A pretty good bargain, especially when you put it with Tesla's Model Y, which goes for a little more. But here's the best part. The Tesla Model Y comes with a massive $7,500 federal tax credit for electric vehicles and a price cut to $36,900. The Mach-E isn't so lucky. Due to new rules of the Biden team, which aims to cut the cost of Chinese battery-related products, and the Mach-E got booted from the tax credit club at the beginning of the year. The other aspect of the story, Ford sales of gas cars increased by 42.7%. The reason is that people have woken up and realized just how bad EVs are, and people are buying gasoline cars once more. However, last year they made a huge splash that saw them sell nearly 2 million cars. The diesel and gasoline numbers are rising, which is generating billions of dollars in earnings, but their EV division suffered a massive loss of $4 billion. Ford is currently rolling out new models that include such vehicles as the F-150, Ranger, Explorer, and more. However, because of the amount of money Ford has lost through EVs, the company is on the brink of demise. That's when they decided to stop making gas-powered cars as the politicians want them to. Joe Biden has laid out an unsavory plan for car manufacturers to create EVs or to go under. More on this in a moment. And the worst part is that those who have already purchased Ford EVs aren't having an enjoyable time either. Imagine this, you purchase a brand new EV believing that you're doing your part for the environment and all, however, bam! Problems start appearing everywhere. We're talking about charging issues and batteries that can't cope with cold temperatures, and don't even start talking about the repair cost. Imagine paying the cost of a car to fix your electric vehicle's battery. It's akin to the Wild West out there for electric vehicle owners today. This is the most shocking part. Ford sales were already not looking good, however. January was a wall of bricks. Their EV sales fell by 11%, while the combustion vehicles are selling better. It's as if we've entered an old-fashioned machine that has returned 10 years. Everyone is scratching their heads wondering what's going on. Now, you may be wondering why Ford abandoned gasoline cars if they knew they were about to be taking a huge loss. This is because the government does not want people to purchase gas cars anymore. The Biden administration indeed announced the rules for emissions that required car manufacturers to be ordered to sell a minimum amount of EVs or else face heavy fines. But here's where the dirty aspect comes into play. While Biden granted the public a tax credit of $7,500 on EVs, however, he also instructed Ford to raise EV prices. This led to prices jumping by almost $25,000 over the cost of a gas vehicle, and the extra money went straight into the pockets of our federal government. Let's not forget that they've increased interest rates as well. We're now seeing people who were paying $500, $800, or $1,000 per month in car loans. There was a group of people who warned the public about the imminent EV market crash: dealers. Last year, a staggering 3,000 Ford dealers gathered and signed a harsh letter that urged Biden to stop imposing EVs. They essentially declared that EVs aren't selling. Please let people decide what they prefer. There's no way to make it happen. But nothing was done. So, there's this thing called the Ford Model E Certified Program, you know? It's a kind of Ford's secret handshake to dealers who would like to sell their electric vehicles. But this is the twist. Not all dealers are embracing it. Some are so uninterested that they've decided to shut down their business. And just as things were improving, Biden dropped yet another bomb. The government has been pushing for a radical change in the direction of requiring 60% of all vehicles that are sold in 2030 to be electric. Then, to crank up the heat, they're planning for 67% by 2032. It's equivalent to going from 0 to hero in a matter of all. Now, the car makers have sent a new letter, and even warning customers not to buy expensive EVs over gas-powered cars. Electric vehicles only accounted for 8% of total sales last year, and this year appears like it's going to get worse. Problems such as EV fires and Ford's EVs in danger of dying on the road due to battery problems and fatal flaws in brakes that caused them to fail, and more have prompted Ford to recall nearly 50,000 EVs in the final quarter of 2023. However, Ford is closing the EV shop completely. In fact, Jim Farley has also disclosed a new fuel they are working on, which I'll go over in the final part of the video. This fuel will be available in a vehicle that's going to cost you $20,000, so make sure to keep watching until the end. This is the most shocking part. Ford isn't alone in this situation. The GM has been making some pretty drastic changes too. They've stopped their EV agreement with Honda, walked away on Bolt EV, and are closing other plants too. It's like they're throwing the white flag over electric vehicles. To add insult to the injury, their sales in China are soaring because they're unable to keep up with local competitors. This double blow has left the company reeling. However, it's not always good. Ford has also been involved in the development of a hydrogen-powered engine recently, which nobody believed would be possible to improve. Although the specific specifications aren't yet available, Ford is working on the $20,000 car that will come with this hydrogen technology and boast a mileage of 500 miles. Toyota, Honda, and Porsche are all involved in this project and are focusing on the development of alternatives to fuels instead of making EVs mandatory. EVs are just not real for now, designed to benefit politicians. However, Ford has finally done what they ought to have done long ago: listen to their clients and continue to sell us more gas-powered vehicles. If it's not broken, do not fix it. All in all, Ford's electric vehicle sales are in a rut, and they're about to start working to bring us more gas-powered cars. If Jim Farley doesn't listen to the actual customers, Ford might have to shut down its doors. To remedy this, they've shut down production and cut the budget by $12 billion, which includes reducing the size of their battery manufacturing plant in Michigan, and are putting off production at a second facility in Kentucky. While Ford's EVs are struggling with their internal combustion engine, their internal combustion vehicles remain their mainstays. It's as if everyone is looking forward to the future, but they're stuck in the past. Then there's the cost to human life of the strike. The UAW strike at Ford's facilities not only threw an axe in their work, but caused temporary layoffs as well as a lot of uncertainty for employees. Although the strike had ended, the strike left an $1.7 billion mark on Ford's profits. The workers themselves do not want EVs to become commonplace. Ford's troubles highlight the bumpy road ahead for electric vehicles. But the story isn't over yet. What do you think? Can Ford turn things around? Should they abandon EVs despite government pressure? Leave your thoughts below and don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell.